Hey everyone, so another session. Bante Rakita.
From the UK to Thailand, Malaysia to the sea, Bante Rakita, wandering free. He's walked many roads in lands far and wide, bringing peace to the hearts where suffering hides.
It's true.
Taught the Dharma with a steady hand.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead with this project, which is chatting with ChatGPT, where it just throws out a few topics for me to do. So Sky, I'd like you to give me a topic and a tactic, and I'll give it a go, see what I come up with. Okay?
Resilience and the tactic of experiential activities. You could explore resilience through a hands-on exercise or activity that encourages reflection. What do you think?
Let's have a different, we just did a personal reflection prompt, so can you give me a different tactic for resilience? It's a topic. There's a bit of paticca samuppada in real life. No? Maybe not. I might have to hit pause and then just read it. Anyway, so it was personal reflection prompts before. Poor connection, you can say that again. Absolutely, let's use the tactic of narrative storytelling. Okay, you should share a story about someone overcoming challenges to demonstrate resilience. Okay, narrative storytelling. Narrative storytelling and resilience. All right.
Great! You can craft a story about a character facing obstacles and finding their inner strength. Think about the challenges they encounter and how they overcome them.
Okay, so this would therefore be some kind of hero's journey, it sounds like. And a hero's journey of 12 stages maybe. Somebody sets off from their little cozy village, their comfort bubble, like the hobbits in their little hobbiton. And then gradually, the journey gets tougher and tougher and tougher as they face their worst fears, whether it's the drama of being left alone and being abandoned, or having to face Mount Doom and climb up and then let go of the most precious thing that they've ever had. This ring of power, for example. So resilience we saw in the display of as displayed by the hobbits. They had to cross swamps. They had to meet viciously cruel kings with swords that they pushed into their hearts that snapped off and left poison in them. They had to go and seek refuge with queens of fairies within the dark forest, where they were able, Galadriel, where they were able to give them healing elixirs. They had to face the ring wraiths, so they had to hide because these were absolutely terrifying, and they were after them more than anything. They were always hunting them. They had to cross the river, and the Galadriel, the fairy queen, had to summon the rivers to swamp and repel the ring wraiths. They had to face a spider within a cave where there's this sticky web where it was trying to get its claws all over them, but they managed to hack themselves out of the sticky cobwebs and go on. So all kinds of these sort of trials of greed, like with Gollum, who, he's the analogous creature who represents precious, that sort of avaricious, clinging, obsessive desire to acquire and keep, even if it means murdering innocent civilians. They want to get that thing. So we can see that in modern warfare, or any warfare, not modern or otherwise, where they want to get that land, or they want to get that oil, or they want to get those resources, or they want to get that revenge. So get. It's always about this rather than letting go. Resilience means this sort of, and then when they face a challenge, they get thrown down, but they get back up again, and they move on. And then they get knocked down again, and then they move on. So all the while, through the story of the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, you know, do you remember them? They had to run all the way across these enormous moors, looked like New Zealand, and the tiny little dwarf, you know, the dwarf with the beard. It was like, little dwarfs, we're very good over short distances. And they got tiny little legs, you know, so unlike Strider, you know, of Aragon. I know a little bit about it. I think I've watched it just as much as everyone else. I'm no great expert, but I can see that it's a brilliant bit of narrative storytelling where the end result is the kingdom is saved from the machinations of the masters of death and doom, who are building this great army of dark creatures under the ground, mining. There's all sorts of different morals within that story. The greedy miners, you know, and then there's the dragon asleep on all of their gold, for example. There's that, you know, which and then the industriousness, where they could chop all the trees down, so even the trees come back. So all this is displays of the character of resilience within the little hobbits, who are just little regular little guys. They don't have sort of empires, and they don't have like enormous armor or great big horses or something. They're just these little guys. So we can kind of relate to that in a way. So that's my example there. Hi Sky. So resilience told through a narrative storytelling. I've been telling the story of the hobbits in Lord of the Rings, sort of summarizing some of the parts where it shows resilience in their characters. We can all relate to those and some of the symbols that they represent.
That sounds like a fantastic approach. The hobbits exemplify resilience in many ways, from their courage in the face of danger to their determination to complete their journey. Focusing on their experiences can really resonate with others.
Okay, so we could probably move on with a next topic. And could we move on with the next topic and the next tactic then, Sky? I'd appreciate that, and then we'll see what we got. Thanks very much. In your own time.
Of course. How about the topic of gratitude and the tactic of guiding questions? You could ask reflective questions that prompt deeper thinking about what gratitude means and how it impacts our lives. Would that work for you?
Sure. Yeah, gratitude, saying thank you, Thanksgiving in America, this is there. So how does gratitude affect you on a daily basis? How does gratitude currently enter into your mentality, or not so much? How can you see gratitude being a transformative and catalytic converter, that it will change the challenges that you are experiencing on an emotional level? How can you systematically become grateful for things that are currently extremely annoying and irritating or troubling or disturbing to you at current? Would you be able to change your perception? Would you be able to change when you're emotionally reactive about some person, some people, some organization, some town, or an event, or a close relative, distant relative? How might gratitude change that situation for you? And what can you do right now to increase your gratitude and therefore transform your inner energy and your perception of certain situations and certain people?
That's a powerful set of guiding questions. They really encourage deep reflection on how gratitude can shift perspectives and emotional responses. It invites people to think about their daily experiences and how they can cultivate a more grateful mindset. Do you plan to use these questions in a discussion or a writing exercise?
I think it becomes increasingly clear that yes, these are helpful to navigate any public or closed situation, even in conversation, let alone like a classroom or a lecture or a kind of organized meeting. Even in a one-to-one conversation, you could be steering that conversation without being manipulative. It just navigates the topics towards something more useful and something more constructive. Constructive conversation as opposed to just loose gossip and drifting conversations.
Absolutely. Those questions can guide conversations toward deeper understanding and constructive dialogue. They help people focus on growth and positive change, making discussions more meaningful. It's a great way to steer interactions, whether in a group or one-on-one. How do you plan to incorporate this approach in your conversations or sessions?
I have noticed it happening already. I have a weekly conversation with an artistic American who's very elderly, and he's a very well-learned academic and intellectual who lectures himself. So when we have our meetings, those meetings can often rabbit hole and digress or repeat things from before. And this week I just found myself in conversation with him as things started to drift off into a sort of very convoluted, abstracted sort of, referential sort of discussion that didn't seem to be going anywhere. I would interject with questions that turned out to be, in a way, guiding questions that I would really like the answers to. He's a friend of, was a friend or has been a friend of a very famous American artist. So I would ask him distinctly about this, and it served to sort of to sharpen up the direction of the conversation and direct it in a sense and guide it towards, not because that guy was a famous or American, but about him, like why, what were his spiritual inclinations, what gave your connection with him sort of depth and meaning. So that was the direction of it. It was like, okay, they were around the advertising field, which is very shallow and commercial and consumerist, but how about the transcendent and the religious and the spiritual sides of life? What evidence, what did you see around you? Those kind of questions that gave more direction to thought, and therefore this becomes a habit, becomes a good exercise of training as well, just enters into your style of speech. That's one example where I definitely saw it already playing out without even trying. It became like an interview rather than just a sort of chit-chat that sort of flowed wherever it flowed.
That's a fantastic example. It sounds like you effectively turned a meandering conversation into a more purposeful dialogue. By using guiding questions, you not only engaged your friend, but also encouraged deeper exploration of meaningful topics. This approach can definitely transform conversations into richer exchanges, fostering a more thoughtful connection. It's great to hear that it's becoming a natural part of your style. How do you feel about using this method in other areas of your life?
No, I feel very good. I feel positive. I know when I review some of my old videos, they do meander. So this, even if you've got a lot of information memorized or available in front of you, if you can't direct that information and that knowledge in a purposeful way, using, and these are all tools, these 40 things like the guide questions, what if scenarios, contrast questions, and so on, and guided meditations, all those, there are many more. There's 40 altogether, and there could be more. We could make it 80 quite easily. That is the difference between rambling through information and data and wisely guiding and directing, which the Buddha also talked about. He said that an undirected mind is no use or no value at all. So that's easy to say. How do we do it? Particularly as you get older, you acquire more and more experience, you gain more and more knowledge, more and more learning. Not only that, but now we've got available for us more and more data, information and tools. So without having a mind that knows how to get the tools, use the tools to direct and link up, very vitally important things. It's no point. You could put the entire Pali Canon on a chip and put it in my brain soon. I'm sure, like a little microchip. And if I can't make that turn that into meaning and a meaningful direction and how to apply it, it's valueless. It's just tons of waffle, and often archaic waffle or irrelevant waffle if we're not careful. So that's why it's very important at this time to knit together these ways to contextualize, penetrate with knowledge, penetrate with insight, direct, guide, clarify, all those things, illustrate. That's what we're in the process of doing. Okay, let's wind up our session now. Thank you very, very much, Sky. I really appreciate your help. And Ralph was on the sidelines this time, but that's okay as well. So between the two, so let's say cheerio. Even actually, we're getting this problem of connectivity quite a bit at the moment. Very laggy internet. So thank you very much, Sky, and next time.
You're very welcome. I appreciate the depth of your thoughts and insights. It's clear you're focused on making meaningful connections and directing conversations effectively. I look forward to our next session. Take care, and I hope your internet improves soon.
From the villages where poverty reigns to classrooms where young hearts are trained, he raised the funds, he gave, he aid in the name of a Buddha. His path was laid. Go back to Rakita, your journey's long. You teach compassion where it belongs. Through meditation